Are you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm's services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Let's Do It Talk Show. It's your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, the CEO and founder of Do It, delivering on ideas and thoughts. And you know what I do in a nutshell, right? I help to turn dreamers into doers, and I do it from two aspects. I do it from the aspect of career development, resume writing, interview preparation. You're having issues on your job or you're looking to change jobs, I am your girl. And then I also do it from a business aspect. If you're looking to start a business, you're looking to expand a business, you're looking for some marketing strategies, or if you have some ideas and thoughts and don't know how to quite bring them to fruition, I am your girl. Here on the Let's Do It Talk Show, we were primarily created for entrepreneurs, right? Quickly, we realized that the entrepreneur is an entire person. So we talk about faith, we talk about finances, we talk about families, and we talk about the future. So today's episode is a little bit of everything, right? So I'm really sincerely excited about this topic. I've been trying to have it, and everything just kept coming up. So keep calm and have hope. Finding hope in the midst of a storm. So with me today is, and if she come one more time, I'm serious, one more time, I'm just going to name her co-host, is Reverend A. Colette Rice. And then we also have Miss Tammy Ray. So Tammy, this is your second time. You got a couple more times before you graduate to co-host, all right? But today you're going to be co-host. But you all know what I do before I jump into the show, right? I talk about my week and my weekend. So let's go. My week was great. So first of all, new restaurant, True Lux, it actually opened during the pandemic. Had a chance to experience that, real classy, upscale and all that. Everything was really, really nice. Scallops to die for, calamari to die for, and their dessert. I don't even eat desserts. We saw somebody else eating dessert at the table, and we just copied just for the experience and the sprinkling and all of that. And then after that, oh my God, my aunt's 79th birthday. It's my mom's eldest sister, and she had a fish fry. Many people remember the first year, 2020, when she had COVID real bad and was in the hospital for like 3 months. So every day is a celebration for her. But we had a great time. Got to meet some of my brand new cousins who were born during the pandemic. So that was hilarious. Bible Cafe, so yeah, Reverend Rice, stepping up my game. Every time we have Bible Cafe, I'm going to have a serious breakfast. So I had shrimp, fish, and grits. I didn't cook the fish. The fish was from the fish fry the night before, but I cooked the rest of it, right? Right. And then, last but not least, well, my Sunday grind, you saw the Girl Scout cookies. But then, Sunday dinner, every now and then I get in the mood just to cook, right? So you saw my Sunday dinner, And then I didn't get the post yet, but y'all saw my pound cake, right? So this is my second time. The first one was, it was okay, but this one, people can ask for a piece of it. They can actually have a piece of this one. The first one, not so much. So all right, let's come on and bring on my guest. So first up is Reverend A. Colette Rice. We go over this time and time again. So you know what you do, right? Tell the people a little bit about who you are.
Do I have to? You already said I have show status. What did you call me? A co-host?
Yes. And my co-host, they actually introduced themselves.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Always a pleasure, always a joy. I feel like I am in such amazing company with Ladrine and Tammy. And yes, I am full-time in ministry, the executive pastor at our church, teacher, lover of people, and just about advancing God's kingdom. And just really excited to be here tonight.
All right, that's good. I mean, you could just throw in there that you're an author of Wit and Wisdom, and a couple other things. You're a chaplain for this and that, but it's okay. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that right. All right, or either I'm gonna introduce you, one or the other.
Right.
All right. So always a pleasure to have you. Always a pleasure to play in the sandbox with you. So next up is Miss Tammy Ray. Tammy, how are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you all?
Awesome. Please let everyone know who you are.
Hey, I'm Tammy Ray. I am the founder of Purpose by Design LLC. It is a organization that primarily focuses on broken women. But during the pandemic, God refined that for me because I was saying to him, like, okay, God, wait, now everybody is catering to or speaking to or ministering to broken women. So it was during the pandemic that he honed in after I finished my book to let me know that it was not only the broken woman, but more specifically the mind of the woman. So that's where I hone in on the mental health of a woman, because when your mind is healthy, everything else can flow with it, right? Your spirit and all that can flow with it. So I do speaking, I do coaching, I am an author, I am in the ministry, I'm a leader in the ministry, and I just am a go-getter, happy-go-lucky kind of individual. So I think that's about it in a nutshell for me, very quickly or briefly.
Okay, I appreciate that. So, the great thing is, I already know that our energy together is amazing. So, Tammy, when you were on the show previously, Reverend Bryce was also on the show as well. So, let's do it, right? Let's do it again, I should say. All right.
Yeah, let's do it again.
We're going to jump in and we're going to talk about three main topics, right? So, just going with the whole theme of this, I just feel like everybody is going through something, right? So many people that I talk to, whether it be formal coaching, informal coaching, or whatever it may be, so many people are going through just various things, including me myself. So I thought that this topic was right on point because it's talking about storms, right? And we know that people react to storms in various ways, but we know that people can't get around storms, right? So I want to go through and we're going to touch upon it in three different ways. So we're going to talk about storms, we're going to talk about hope, and then we're going to talk about the calm. So the storm, the hope, and the calm. So let's start off with the storm first, right? So we really want to give people hope. So we're not going to spend that much time here, but definitely want to jump in terms of the storm. So when I thought about this, right, I thought about this in three different phases. And either people are going in a storm, they're in the midst of the storm, or they're coming out of a storm. So just free flow and just your thoughts about the conditions and how, and Reverend Rice, I know you from just ministering to people from our huge church, just the various conversations that you come by and from what you do as a in ministry.
Right. Yeah, storms are, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's true, that they are first and foremost a fact of life.
Right.
So that's one of the things you can't get around, in this life you shall have. That's what the word tells us, troubles, you're going to have troubles, you're going to have trials, and storms come in all shapes, forms, and sizes, as you said.
Right.
And it's all relative to the person who's in the midst of the storm, right? What that looks like and what it feels like. And so it's one of those things that I think, Ladrine, as we experience storms, and we can talk about this later because you're going to talk about where our hope comes from and where the calm comes from. But as we grow in our walk and as we experience storms, it enables us to better navigate. Mm-hmm. Right?
Absolutely.
And it happens over time.
Absolutely. And it was so funny as I was going through this, the passage that you wrote, and we all heal, we all grieve differently. That's never going to go away. So although we were talking about grieving, what you wrote can stand for so many different things. So I honestly frequently read that, just a reminder to myself of being able to get through a storm. So thank you many times over. I probably owe you some of these royalties that's coming there.
Show me the money.
I know that's right. I know that's right. I know you are. I know you are.
For real, I'm joking.
So Tammy, what about you? What are your thoughts about storms just in general? We're gonna go to Hope, but just wanted to get your take on storms.
Wow, it's so broad, and you can say so much about the storm. But what I think about, and what I try to tell people when we're talking about being in a storm, just remember while in the storm, that you're not going to be able to cling on to everything because you're in a storm. And it may not seem like you'll be able to hold on or grab onto anything tangible. But the one thing that I try to remind myself and other people is that the protector is in the storm with you. So if you can cling and you can hold on to him, you'll know you'll make it through the storm eventually, somehow. So that's what that's what I give myself and other people to kind of balance or go through the storm. And I sometimes call the storm a process. Because it is. But as long as I know that if I can't cling to nothing else, if I can't catch on to nothing else, that comforter and that protector is right there in the storm with me. And as long as I'm holding on to him, I'll be all right.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And you know how they say the safest place of the storm is in the eye, in the center, and that whole thing. So I definitely can attest to that. But let's go into the that was like an intro soft type of topic. Just had to put that piece out there. But let's go dig deep into the questions, and we'll be able to go deeper into this whole topic in general. So the next one is hope, right? And oh my God, so it's so many things that we can say about hope. So what does hope mean to you? So I'll just start off with me. So mine is being in a space of not giving up, no matter how trying times are, and continuing in spite of the situation, because with all whatever higher being or whatever some other people may do, but I know that's mine, the higher being, you believe that you're going to get through it. So what about you, Reverend Rice? Hope, what does that mean to you?
It was just what you said. I was writing it just before you said it, and that is believing. It's a belief. It's it's believing that in spite of the facts,
Come on. Don't do it to me, Reverend Ray.
right? In spite of the facts,
Don't do it. Y'all already know.
it's believing in my God who has proven, right, to trump the facts every time, right? So for me, and I wrote down earlier, as Tammy and I had a real good conversation before you even tapped in, Ladrine,
Awesome.
about what. So it's faith, right? Hope is having faith for a better outcome. Okay, I won't even say a better outcome. I'm gonna say hope for me is believing for God's outcome.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Outcome.
There you
No
go.
matter what that is, right?
There you go.
And so I went to Hebrews, and because Tammy and I were talking, and I jotted it down, Tammy. Now faith. Faith is the substance, right? Our now faith is the substance of things hoped for. So that's what our faith is. It's the substance, right, of the things that we hope for, and the evidence of things not seen. So, and to Tammy's point earlier, I have to pray, just as the man did in the Bible when he brought, his sick child to Jesus, and Jesus said, do you believe? Right?
Yep.
Oh my God. And I don't know how many times I've said to God, and all this, even with what I perceive to be a kind of sort of a maturing faith. I ain't gonna say a matured faith.
Yes.
I'm not even gonna say a mature faith, not a matured faith, not a matured ED, not a mature E, but a maturing faith, right? Still has me in every situation saying, I believe, but God help my unbelief. Because with the belief, now I always wished I had been given the gift of faith, but I wasn't given the gift of faith. I was given the measure, right?
Come on.
And some people are given the gift of faith, right? And then others are given the measure of faith. And those of us who have been given a measure, that faith goes from faith to faith and strength to strength. So that measure of faith should, it should stretch, right? It should get longer and longer with each trial. For every trial, for every storm, right? You brought me over, right? What we say, for every mountain you helped me to climb, that faith matures. And that's where, so hope is in motion, right? It's in motion. And Lord knows, it's growing every day. When old say, I'm not what I used to be. It's not what it used to be.
Right.
And it's not what it could be, but I'm grateful that it's growing.
Yeah, and I just want to throw one disclaimer out there. It's Monday, not Sunday. Sunday, yesterday was preaching day. You come on here, we just getting started, and you over here preaching already. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, get hyped. Do what it is. You said so many different things, and it's so funny. Because I was trying to save a portion of my answer for a question that we have coming up. But I'm just going to let that sit there.
Okay.
I'm going to let that sit there. Like, amen. Good God. Like, I'm talking about royalties. I'm about to plastic plate. Like, I'm about to plastic plate. That was really, 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 really good. Really good. Tammy.
Yes.
So how about you? Hope. What does hope mean to you?
Well, I would have to say it's a combination between what both of you said. So hope to me is a perseverance, right? And you were saying like holding on in spite of. So hope to me is a perseverance. But when I think about what hope has been, or what I would like hope to be for me, it's almost like an expectation of something to come, right? And I guess to me, it's like it's an expectation that gives you the strength to believe or to keep believing.
Right.
So in other words, for me, I'm gonna put it in layman terms, it's a confident expectation of God's might. That's it. It's a confident expectation of his power or what he can do.
That's good. That's good.
All right, so why don't we skip one down then, right? We're going to skip one down to what, no, let me go in order. Like, y'all about to mess me up. We're going to go in the order that I wrote it out. All right, what is the opposite of hope? What's the opposite of hope?
That would be despair to me.
Yeah.
It's despair. And when someone is despair, it's almost like they have lost all sense of hope. And then you take on the feeling of like dismay or gloom, or so it's like you have no sense of hope whatsoever.
Yeah. And for me, I say it's giving up because of the situation. So I used what I said and did the opposite of that. It's giving up because of the situation, when you don't think that there is an ending that will work in your favor, or thinking that it is going to take you out mentally or physically. So I'm trying to hold off on God's will till we get down, but that's what all road leads to. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, when you're hoping, when you have hope, I mean true hope. When you have true hope, it has to be tied to your faith, right? Or whatever, again, your higher being. So I'm saying my faith. And when it's tied to your faith, it's a lot of people think that hoping is the end, the expected end that you want. And that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Hope is having that faith and that trust in God that whatever his will is for your life, that he's going to keep you through it. He's going to keep you through it. So a lot of people get their feelings and their things mixed up of hope, and they get angry for various reasons. And that's because they don't really understand the fundamental breakdown of what hope really truly is. Reverend Rice, what about you? What's the opposite of hope?
I think it's the same thing, either hopelessness, right? Or I think despair, really adequately captures it. I think that when we think of the opposite of hope, it's, if we're thinking about something that we're believing God for, then if we pull that back, then hopelessness is not having a vision for a brighter or better future.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's it. All right. Next up, how do we hope in the face of enormity and overwhelm? So mine was simple: pray, reflect, trust, and have faith, and then repeat, and then just keep on repeating that over and over and over again, because we're going to have situations that test our faith. Right? And if you lose hope, oh my God, if you lose hope in the middle of something, it's almost like it's defeated, it's destroyed. Like, God, man, I'm gonna let y'all answer it. Like, we gotta hurry up and get down to the next questions, because I normally don't write out my answers, but I just was like, let me just jot something down so that because I knew Reverend Rice would be taking. It's like, I'm playing Reverend Rice. That's what you. All right, so
I'm being so measured today and very disciplined.
Okay, all right. So how do you all feel about that? How do we face? How do we have hope in the face of difficulty, being overwhelmed, and going through different struggles?
So if I made that a little personal, right?
Okay.
I instead of using the word enormity and overwhelm, I use depression.
Okay.
because I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And what kept me from what allowed me to hope in the face of depression was Romans 5:2-5, when it says, by standing in God's grace and rejoicing in the sure hope that he will share in his glory. Our sufferings, and we're going to translate sufferings to mean storm, brings growth, which leads to a more potent hope, which is what Reverend Rice was talking about earlier, about how your hope grows. So that's kind of that scripture in and of itself is kind of what helped me, by standing in God's grace and rejoicing in his sure hope that he will share in his glory. Our sufferings, which we equate to storms, will bring about growth, which leads to a more abundant form of hope, or expanded hope, or growth in hope.
Yeah. Reverend Rice?
Yeah. How do we hope in the face of enormity and being overwhelmed? The one word that came to my mind, the first word that came to my mind, and I'm gonna stick with that, is gratitude.
That's good.
Yeah, it's gratitude, because really when we lose our hope, actually in losing our hope, we've lost our perspective.
Right.
And so I think gratitude helps, and when we become overwhelmed, we've lost balance. Because when you're overwhelmed, that signals that we're out of alignment, we're out of balance. Because, all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose, right? Wait on the Lord and be of good courage, and he will strengthen us. They that wait upon the Lord shall mount up with wings as eagles. They'll run and not be weary. They'll walk and not faint. And so when we get overwhelmed, we've lost ours. Be still and know, that I have got. God is in trouble. All of these things that remind us that God is who God is.
That's it.
And he's sovereign. Right. So the gratitude causes, and remembering our position, you know what I mean? Coming under, submitting, right, our will to his will, coming under and surrendering. I really think it humbles us. And when we're humble, gratitude automatically flows out of a humble heart.
That's good. That's
right. Good. And when you walk in gratitude, when you flow in gratitude, it brings everything back. It brings it in right perspective. You know what I mean? And then you're remembering. It's like I was going to say earlier. You said reflection. I say just same thing. You ain't even got to have a intense memory. You just have to have even a faint memory, right? Because when I think, right, if you start thinking, you can't help but think. Come on. Start thinking. Thinking automatically generates a thankful spirit, a thanksgiving, right? So when I think about the goodness of Jesus, that he's done, because we forget. If we're honest, we forget. We dwell in the space that we're in now, and we forget. That's why I love, you learn something from the older saints, right? The mature saints, because they can sit back and you going, what happened? I can't pay this bill. I can't do this. I can't do this. That didn't happen. This didn't happen. This happened, and I didn't expect it. And and then you see, the old grandmother waving her hands and saying, the Lord will, make a way, somehow. That was always the prayer. The reason why they were able to say the Lord will make a way somehow is because he made a way. He made a way.
That's
right.
It. Listen, I will never, ever, ever forget when I was like a GS3 and the furlough happened. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And see, when I was younger, I used to hang with more senior people in my workplace. I was trying to get to where I was trying to go, right? So,
Right.
one of my friends, Rose Cottrell, she is retired, like 75. She just turned 75 and living her life. But I remember being in her office, and I was like, here, we didn't have like mighty email, so I had to deliver the furlough notices. So I was like, man, what are we going to do? She looked me dead in my face.
Okay.
And she said, what are we going to do? She was like, you do nothing. You pack up and you go home like they tell you. I was like, no, I'm talking about financially and whatever. And she touched my hands and she said, baby, let me tell you, God is in control. Like, God has a plan. Do you trust and do you have faith in him? And I'm like, yeah, but nothing. She was like, that's it. I packed up my little stuff and I went home and I was like, it will be done. So just little sprinkling and inklings of what you witness somebody, but oh my God, when you go through it yourself, like I'm trying to tell y'all, I've been on this whole little high and like, I don't even care. I'm like, overly like, Jesus, what you say? Like, here, little stuff drop. I'm like, well, hold on, Jesus got something. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm so in tune, discernment, everything in terms of my space right now, because as I was going through what I was going through it, right? But when I look back, like right now, every time I look back, I just am so like grateful for the grace that God has like given me and granted me over my life. So I'm in this space of like, I don't know, holy, whatever you want to call me, I'm that girl. And I'm so okay with it. So okay with it. So before we go to the next one, Minister Andre said, when we first started talking about it, he piggybacked right after you, Reverend Rice. He said, when you don't have hope, you don't have purpose, and you don't believe nothing in God's word. So that is so like amazing how he said that. And I can even take it to even being in grief counseling when I know people go through their phases, but when people openly say, I'm angry at God, you have that space, and God know you angry at him, whether you say it or not. So that's very respectful that, you know, the person is expressing their feelings. But when that part of it, it makes me cry even more than when I'm there for to get healing for, because I'm like, God, please don't ever let me be in a place where I lose hope. Like, please don't ever let me be in a place where I lose hope. So, what everybody said like was great in terms of the content, and we're gonna go through this one question, and then we're gonna go to break. So, is hope the same as desire?
No.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's my answer.
Yeah, mine is it's not factual. It's Ladrine's absolutely no. So it's not like a proven fact, but that's one like you're gonna have to show me something different with that. And I'll just start off with it. So hope is like trust. It's geared to your trust. Desire is like a wish. It's like something that you would like to have. Hope is even if the outcome doesn't come, that you trust that you're going to still be okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. I think desire kind of draws more in my mind. Now, it doesn't always have to be, but just my, kind of my
opinion. This is opinion.
Yeah.
So your racism.
Yeah. Well, that when you think about desire, it can allude to the flesh, right? And I don't think it's all or none. I don't think it's a black or white. I don't think it's a 100. But I think when I think about what I desire, I could say, I desire for my family to have good success. I could say that, but I could also say I could think of some other things.
Right.
That we could say that we could desire that might not be noble or whatever. I think there's a distinction between hope and desire. But there's some thin lines, because we were talking about that passage that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is like the tree of life, right? So longing, you know what I mean? Longing can be desire, and so even in that passage, it's almost used interchangeably, but I think at least longing and hope is, but I think desires can be healthy, they can be whole, they can even be holy, but they can also be dark.
Yeah. And like you said, it's our opinion, and we're choosing to do how we say, but that's how I looked at it. When I looked at desire, when I'm talking about real life, I don't use the word desire.
Right.
I don't use the word desire. When I'm praying, I don't use the word desire. I just don't use it. And I was just thinking of the times when I use those, like desire, more like materialistic things, more like little small things. I might have a desired taste for some crabs or something like that. But that don't come into, in maybe, I can't think of a time where it comes into that, but hope is something serious. And it's so funny because like now, like how we be like, hope you're having a wonderful day. I'd be like, I pray you're having a wonderful day. Like I'm trying to let you know what I'm feeling for you. I don't desire, I'm praying and I'm hoping these things. But yeah, great conversation. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break and come back. On the other side, we're going to finish up our discussion about hope, but then we're going to jump into the discussion about the calm. We're going to talk about the calm, so we'll be back in a quick second.
Are you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm's services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
right, y'all. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Hope you are enjoying the conversation. This show was actually like personalized. Like for me, I needed this topic to happen and to take place. So a couple things. If you're not already following us on social media, please do so. Let's Do a Talk Show on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook group, as well as our YouTube channel. We all grieve differently. We're coming back together again. It's been 1 year. Our anniversary is coming up with a book project. We didn't get a chance to do anything in person. We did a virtual launch. So we're coming together and having little cupcakes and conversation. It's going to be a little bit more about just grief. But we definitely wanted to honor these ladies, these co-authors, and as well as our contributing authors who poured their hearts out into this book project, this #1 Amazon best-selling book project, may I add. And then also, we all heal differently. Oh my God, like, this really started out as a personal project. I self-published because I only wanted the journals for me and to give out to people who were going through it in lieu of flowers. So many testimonies, so many people that I have connected with. It has become like a really, really heartfelt thing that I really have to balance myself off, because when people, when they order from Amazon, it's fine because I don't see it. But when they send it to me and I ask, like, do you want a customized letter? Sometimes I get to see their writings, and then they ask me to write. I end up writing like I know the people, and then I end up developing relationships with them. So it's just been really trying. And the most impactful one has been this autistic 13-year-old. Her mother went through the loss of her husband and her mother. So someone ordered the journal, and I just sent her everything. I sent her the book, some candles, just everything, just put it in a nice box for her. So I had been praying with her, like, you know, because she was really going through and it was fresh. And she reached out to me and was like, oh my God, the candle. My daughter loves it. She's autistic, but when she takes it in her room and sleeps with it at night, she has a peaceful night. We shared the candle. I'm like, baby, like, what kind of candle? I didn't remember what kind of candle it is or whatever. And I was like, let me send her own so that she can have it in that room. But it has truly, like, been a blessing. So who knew this little personal project would turn out to be something so grand. And I mean grand in terms of heartfelt. It has had me crying more than I expected to do, but it has blessed me. It's helping me on my healing process and also helping me to heal to other people. But it really does take a lot out of you. But I tell you, no matter what, I'll be up or whatever I go through, the next morning, God always gives me something, whether it be a verse, a prayer, somebody praying with me, or whatever. So, God, keep on doing what you're doing, but I like to do it. I wasn't trying to be in the business of helping people heal, but whatever assignment that you have for me. I say that jokingly, but it is a weighing and a pulling and a tolling of you, but I mean it. Like, my whole thing when I was going through, God, whatever I can do for you, He's like, here go your little assignment, right? Here go your assignment. So, by all means, here I am, and this is a part of what I'm doing. And so excited, next month, I'll be actually introducing my new project. So I'm looking forward to that book. That's the book that I've been working on for some years. So it's about time for that thing to come out. So, yeah, so I'm excited about that. So we'll look for some stuff in June to kind of like talk about it to commemorate my birthday. So, all right, jumping back into the topic. Oh, and shout out to I'm missing the name, so I got Andre Watts and my sister Cornelia. I haven't seen or talked to you in a long time. We gotta reconnect, right? So let's jump back into the topic. So let's finish up the topic about hope, so we can talk about calm. So, what links hope to faith and trust? What links hope to faith and trust? Either one of you? I'll go first, And my answers that I jotted down were very simple. I put hoping and praying for God's will. So that's why when you talked about it earlier, that's what it is for me. Hoping, like you do not and you will not always get the outcome that you are expecting or that you think should happen or that you want to happen that will make the process seem right for you, right?
Right.
But it is when, like, no matter like what happens, you are really, really, really trusting and having faith in God. Not that your storm won't be hard, but that God is going to get you through it. So it's that whole bit of it for me. It's God's will, and it's
Right.
every time I was trying to figure out a way and go about it and go around it. It is God's will. And you said alignment earlier. That was my word the year before last, alignment. And as it was my word, but it wasn't my word associated with God originally, right? It was aligning everything in my life. So it's one thing that I'll do, especially when I do anthologies, I'll always ask people for their words, right? My word I keep and I build on my words. So when everything started happening, I went back to my words, right? And it was like alignment, but it wasn't what I was writing and what I was doing before. It was like my alignment with God's will. And I'm trying to tell y'all and explain to y'all, that's what kept me. And that's what's keeping me all along the way. And now I don't feel like I'm untouchable, like nothing can't happen to me that won't hurt me. I know that stuff is still happening now as it happened. But what I do know for sure, that nobody can't tell me any different, is no matter what storm comes my way, that God has me. God has me. As long as I continue to pray for his will, it don't even matter. So my hope is directly tied to God's will. Whatever he has for me, help me to understand it and help me to know what it is and be in alignment with it. And Andre said, he's going back to the other one. Desire is a choice and a decision made. Me too with the book. Yes, Andre. So, and I know I gave you one, but Lily, I need your niece's address. I couldn't go to the funeral, so I need her address so I can send her a packet. All right. So what about you two? What do you think in terms of what links hope and faith to trust? It's almost challenging, right? Because all of it go all in together as a circle.
Well, yeah, but it's really what I said before. I was kind of thinking, and I appreciate your sharing because it makes sense. I mean, it really is about surrender. For me, it still means surrender because at the end of the day, if we're not, first of all, we all have to understand that the safest place, and I love Karen, man, I cut my teeth on that in ministry because, you go through some challenges and some, adversarial circumstances and situations. But at the end of the day,
right,
that song ministered me is the safest place in the whole wide world is in the will of God.
With little Kiki,
right.
With little Kiki.
Little Kiki. She said, don't call her Kiki no more because
right.
she is Kiara.
She was little on that, on that song right
she
there.
Was a bit, but it may be on a mountaintop or in the valley low.
Right.
But wherever it is, right? And that's the key. And I think that that's what makes that bridge, right? Between hope and our faith and trust. It's like, and I learned early on to pray. When I say early on, I won't say early on, but I learned, I have learned indeed. When I pray, when I hope for something, that I still pray for God's will. And I know that I go into the situation understanding that I see through a glass dimly. I see, you know what I mean? No matter how enlightened I am, I'm never going to know the mind of God. Never. No matter what I know and what I want, I have learned and I say this all the time to folks, just think for a minute, that one thing that you can think, just one thing that you begged God for, that you pleaded God for, that you wanted so bad, and grateful when God said no, that it didn't happen, and mindful that his permissive will let you into something that at the end of the day, you were like, Lord, have mercy. What was I thinking? And so I'm just so grateful now to not hold on to anything. I don't care what it is I hope for. I am ing maturing, right? I gotta keep following that caveat. But I am maturing and have come to pray the prayer of Jesus. It used to trouble me when people would suggest that your faith is not strong enough.
Right.
If you're praying for something and it don't come, your prayers are not strong enough. If you can't get a prayer past the ceiling and to give the desired outcome that you have, right? And when I learned that if it was good enough for Jesus, if Jesus can get in the garden and pray and ask his Father for something and then conclude that prayer with nevertheless. And I also strongly believe that when we misinterpret the scriptures that says that if you ask anything, in my name, and people say, well, God said, if you ask him, he'll give you the desires of your heart. And how we've misused that passage.
That's good.
Is what he's saying is, if you trust me, I'm going to conform your desires. Yeah. I'm going to shape, hold, and move.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So that your will becomes my will, because my will is the safest place. It's the only place. And so I never want to be to a point where I want to. And so then that's where the trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not, to your own understanding, because so often in our intellect and our, pompous attitudes, oftentimes we just feel like we got the answer and we know it. And this is what it should be. And then we want to move the hand of God in that we want to steer.
Right.
We want to steer the hand of God in a certain direction. And that's not it. And so I just ask God, I don't care what it is. I don't want to insist on anything. I don't want to force anything. I don't want to make anything happen that he ain't trying to make. I'm like, God, when God asked Ezekiel, can these bones live? And Ezekiel said, thou knowest. So whatever it is that I'm going, okay, God, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I feel. This is what I think about. But Lord,
Man. And when you got those things that you prayed for, like you talking about when you didn't get them, when you got them, and
I said both. Either way, right?
You like,
either way.
You like, God, I thought I wanted that. Take it back. Like, can you take it back?
When you beg for it, you do that with your children. You try and tell your children they begging for that candy. You know they had one piece too many. You know they gonna get sick if they go ahead and eat that ice cream on top of that watermelon. You steady said, baby, I don't want that's enough. About trying to be sweet, trying to be caring, kind of no, sweetie, that's enough. This permissive will, right? And then at some point, God sometimes we'll say, all right, well, okay. This what you insisted upon this, so I'm gonna let you get a taste of it. And then you come back and you let me know.
Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy.
I done told folk 1,000,000 times, and y'all get this, y'all write this down. If y'all remember anything that I said tonight, remember this. The fantasy is often much better than the reality.
Come on, that's right.
I can co-write with you on that one right there. Like, my God,
I'm telling y'all, man. Keep it in your dreams and be satisfied.
So one time I was thinking like God was losing his love for me was when he gave me something that I asked for and he wouldn't take it back quick enough. He made me go through sometimes. So that's my story. So amen to everything that you said. Tammy, did you have anything else else to add before we go to the next one?
Sure. So to me, I just look at hope, trust, and faith. And when I look at hope, like I said before, to me, hope is expecting what you are trusting God for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so when I think about trust to me is believing in the reliability of God.
Woo!
When I think about faith is the complete confidence that you have in God. So to me, all of them work synonymously, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have to have the hope, which gives you trust, which brings the faith.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. So the next one, do you two feel that there are different levels of hope?
I don't know if I would say levels more than intensity. Just like Reverend Rice
Like
was saying
that.
earlier about growing, like your faith grows, you know, you grow from faith to faith. I think you can grow from hope to hope. I don't know if it level intensity, is that the same thing? Are we using the words interchangeably?
Interchangeably.
Probably because I feel like as we mature, we can learn to hope, even in a mature hope. You know what I mean? This is what we were talking about before. Like one thing, it might be something tangible, something you really want, but as we mature, you know what I mean? It goes higher. In that regard, I think our hope can mature, and therefore we're not as immature, you know, about what we're hoping God or what we're hoping God for. So we're seeking, right, a deeper. We're hoping for something more mature in God. So in that regard, I'd say
So yes, level and intensity is the same.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the purpose of discussion, yes, it's the same. So like for me, I have prayed and I have hoped for things, which in my life, as I balance out things, I can put them at a lower scale of things, right? Like, yes, I really, wanted it to happen. I hope that it happened. And would it impact my livelihood more so? Not even my livelihood, my life or my death. Would it impact that? Then I believed in God for some things, right? But like the level of when it comes to something that means something that like related to life and death, for me, and having that understanding, and not only for me, but for other people as well, it is a different level. Like, can you imagine me being over top of my sister's bed while she's in the hospital, right? And they're saying she had this many days to live. She had this many days to live. Different things will happen where she would just miraculously get better for a moment, right?
Wow.
Can you just imagine me over top of her bed, like at the beginning, God, please help my sister, please help my sister, please help my sister, please help my sister. And then really finding a peace with God and saying, God, whatever your will is, like, have that be done. But God, in the midst of it, bless me, take care of me, and like help me. And I'm telling you, I can remember that really moment. And then God took me back to like 5 years ago when my sister was going through cancer, and when they were like, she had like minimal days to take her home, and my mother prayed, and she prayed and cursed them out and everything. She was in the midst of praying and cursing them out, and she was like, no. And my sister was taken to John Hopkins, and they were like, we can't do anything. And the same doctor who birthed her back to life, it was Jesus, but the birthed her back to life, came to visit me during that time, right? And she said to me, I was like, thank you. I've never met you before. I didn't come to the hospital. And I said, thank you for birthing my sister back to life and helping extend her 5 years. And she said, your sister will tell you, and I'm telling you again, I had nothing to do with that. We don't even know how your sister made it. Like, we still call her like the walking miracle because we don't know how that happened. And I never forget when I was in the shower and I kept praying, like, God, heal my sister. Like, you can't take her now. She's so young. She's 45. Da, 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 da. And again, it came over me. Like, God, I said, you know what? I wish I can pray that thy will be done. I said, I'm not ready to lose my sister. And the next day, it was like a whole miracle, all this other stuff. And it's a post that we have about it. So he reminded me and took me back to that very point. He took me back to that very point. So there again, lying when my sister has a death sentence, lying over top of her bed, God reminds me. So when we talked about remembering things, so I definitely think that there are levels to it. When you go through something, your look back gets to add up more and more and more. So that one example compounded on one another, everybody was trying to figure out, like, what you, I don't know, ask God, because I couldn't tell you. I knew that I trusted God. I knew that I had faith in God, and I knew that God was going to keep me regardless of what. Why? Because he did it before. So definitely think that there are levels to hope. Last question about hope. When was the last time you felt hopeful, and how did it feel? And we can just, like, I just said mine, right? My space right now, I've gone through, like, so many different things aside from my mother, my father, the baby, everything. And even, like, my health issues. But, like, God has been, like, he has, like, even though all of those things happen, which are, like, probably the worst things that I could write about, right? All of those things that happen, I am in such a peaceful and graceful space and learning so many different lessons of life to just be so authentic. But the one more thing is to be that vessel for God. So, like, no matter what, no, like, all right, I feel like I'm getting preachy, but that's my little mode. Being a vessel for whatever, because I know what he will do and what he can do. And I don't want to do what I want to do, right? I don't want to be in control of what I think is right. I want to make sure that I'm in the will of God in everything that I do. So I know I said a mouthful. Anything from you all from that before we skip off and close off with this last topic?
No, you said it.
All right. I'm sorry. But yeah. So the last one, I just wanted to go through the calm, right? When you're in the midst of the storm, we already talked about the important thing, like, is to not lose hope. Losing hope, it will put you in despair. Some of the words that you all are said, losing hope is like living without no purpose and all of these other things. But how does one stay calm, right? How do you sincerely stay calm when you're in the midst of it, so you can get out of it and feel the extreme feeling of calmness or calm? So one of the articles that I pulled up was from the Winding Willows, and to be honest with you all, I didn't even, like, waver. I just went straight from her list. So that's where we're going. So Amanda Polson has an article called Keeping Calm Through the Storm. Don't lose your peace, right? Keeping calm through the storm and don't lose your peace. So she lists out a number of things, and let's go through them and have dialogue about them. So, and I'm going to read a couple of things. So she starts off saying ways to stay calm. Obviously, not every anxiety and stressor in our life comes from past experiences. Sometimes your job that you're on right now is hard, or relationship is just stressful, or your health is just sucks. The following tips can be used in any situation. So she goes through and she's talking about it on so many different levels. So whatever your situation is, whatever your storm is, I really think that you will be able to apply these. So y'all ready? First one. One is breathe correctly. And I'm just going to read, like, the first sentences of hers, and then we chime in so that we can get through this, because we're already, like, overdone. Breathe correctly. And she wrote, if you've never heard of it, diaphragmatic breathing is a game changer. So she goes into talking about how breathing from your stomach instead of your chest, like really, really helps you. So when I tell people this, people think I'm playing, or they always be like, what? I just learned how to breathe like 2 years ago. Growing up as a child, I had chronic asthma. So from as far back as I can remember, 4 years old, that's my earliest memory. I was in the hospital all the time. And for me, you know how people inhale through their nose and exhale through their mouth? I was inhaling through my nose and exhaling through my nose as well. Because as a child, when I inhaled through my nose, it hurt me less. When I did anything of breathing out or whatever, it hurt my body so bad that as I came along, all of the years of my life, up until I was 48, I was breathing incorrectly. It was through like yoga on Zoom and all this stuff that I really realized that I was breathing incorrectly. So what are your thoughts in terms of breathing correctly, or just breathing to help you calm?
Well, understand, I was talking ironically enough to someone today about asthma. Their daughter, she's grown, daughter died from asthma, and she suffered all her life. And she was saying that there's not the kind of awareness that's given to, asthma and the how serious that can be. But anyway, that then led to our discussion about breath. And I do agree that breathing correctly is important because we don't acknowledge breath. We breathe instinctively. So we don't acknowledge it. And the very thing I said to her is, when we acknowledge our breath as the gift that it is, because it is life. We are God breathed, right? And when we actually acknowledge our breath, then you have a greater appreciation for it. I too, when I lost my voice for those months, Ladrine, you might recall.
Yes, I do. I couldn't get an altar call prayer. Yes, I do. I was hurting with you. I
could not talk for months. And one of the things that I learned in that was, she was like, you're going to have to, if you're going to honor your trumpet, if you will, and really appreciate your voice, you're going to have to appreciate breath and how you breathe and how you and so I do believe that when you breathe correctly, it causes you to it does what it needs to do to your body in order to bring you down, so to speak.
Sincerely, that's why I used to be all hyped. Now I go to sleep and everything, but seriously, it definitely has changed me on so many levels. Just when I take the only deep breaths that I used to take was at work. I mean, at the hospital when I was going for my annual physical. Now, especially if emotionally something is going on, I stop and I take a deep breath the correct way. I inhale. And I'm so proud of inhaling and exhaling. So you never know what you're missing. But when you go through it, so now I'm all hyped on inhaling and exhaling. My kids be like, okay, we've been kind of doing this for a couple years. So, but yeah. Tammy, any thoughts from you?
Well, I totally agree. It brings about a calming, and it can certainly calm you while you're in a storm or in a situation. So I agree with what you guys said.
Okay. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to tag team. I'm going to go every other question to each person, right? So as we go down the tips. So the next one is, her second tip is break the situation down with a list. So this was my girl right here. I started liking her right here. And her first sentence is, anything can be overwhelming if you picture all the different bits and parts that make it stressful. So she goes and talk about how breaking it down, your tasks by minutes on a calendar and prioritizing them so that if you don't get to something, you don't feel bad, but you encourage yourself because you got something done. Listen, this is my area. This is my topic. So when people call me a perfectionist, I'll be like, let them say what they're going to say, but I respond back. I am a do the best you can-ness. My thing is do the very best that you can. And when it seems like I'm like saying something to somebody, that's because I'm like, are they really doing the best that they can? So we are not perfect. We cannot be perfect. But are you really doing the best that you can? So I love practicing this on my clients, right? So I have 2 activities that I created for some of my clients that I coach. One of them, and it's mainly for my business clients, is 1 to 100. They coming in, once we have a session, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. I categorize them bad boys, and so we can set them up in priorities. How realistic is it? How feasible is it? How much is it going to cost? But more importantly, how much money is it going to make you? So you focus on the things that's going to make you money, then you build up to the other ones. And then the last one is more so with my coaching clients from personal coaching. I do this thing called portion plates. You know how people always feel like my plate is too full. My plate is too full. And I heard that one too many of times. And it just so happened my grandkids were over. And when they come over, like I was fixing them their food on portion paper plates. And I was like, that go the answer right there. So I started this thing called portioning plates, just helping people to dig down and break up. So Reverend Rice, let me go to you on that one. So I was like, as I was reading this, I was like, let me hear Reverend Rice, because you always mess with me, and I love it, and I know you do it out of love, but it cracks me up when you say that, because I be over there like, that's right, and I'm probably writing a list as you're saying that. But your thoughts in terms of breaking down a list, and especially when it's something like you, and especially with you, your role and responsibility, like, oh my God, when I sit down and think about your responsibility at Mount Eden, aside from itself, and I love how you mix in the other things to make sure, like, I don't want to say all churchy, but you balance out your life with the other things that you do. But Mount Eden in itself, like, that's what I'm telling you. I don't hardly be trying to call and bother you anymore, because I understand. I always be like, I know you're busy. And I know you get that with my language that I say, because when I step back and I look at all that you do, I just be like, wow. So how do you break down? I know there's delegating and other things, and you can say delegating. I might take the words out your mouth, but I like, seriously, like, how do you feel about breaking the situation down with the list?
You have to. I think it's even not. Now, I'm not big on lists. I wish I was bigger than I am on list. And oftentimes I say to even yesterday, this morning, I reminded myself, you need to start making your day the night before, which is not a immediate practice that I do. But I have to start doing more of that so I can get order. But I think the list, 2 things that I think the list helps you do. Number one, it helps you stay, focused naturally. But I think the bigger thing that it does is it allows you it allows you to chisel. You know what I mean? How do you break one chisel at a time? You know what I mean? How do you hammer away at a mountain? You know what I mean? It's one chip at a time. And when you do your list, the benefit and the joy and the blessings of the list is doing what you just did. You can check it off.
Yep.
And that's such a boost. Like, that feels so good when you can say, got that done. Got that done. I did that. And it's behind you. Frankly, I can get overwhelmed sometimes if I'm not careful. And for me, the sad part of it, and I'm just being real transparent now, if something overwhelms me, I will walk right on away from it. Like, I'm like, later, and that's a coping mechanism that's not the healthiest. Right. So, I think the list is powerful.
I'm gonna send you my 1 to 100. I'm gonna send you my 1 to 100 template, so you can just play around with that a little bit. All right. Number 3, like, our time is crazy.
I know,
Press on through. All right. Acknowledge your emotions, right? And she says burying emotions is just a bad idea. And Tammy, I'm gonna go through this one myself and skip to go to you for a look at the big picture. So burying emotions is just a bad idea. Nothing good comes of it. Take a few minutes to figure out what and how you're feeling. It's okay to say, I'm overwhelmed. It's okay to say, I'm overwhelmed. It's even okay to cry. But don't let those emotions take over. Acknowledge them so you can move forward. And Reverend Rice said also, I'm telling you, your piece, I know that little piece that you wrote is so powerful in the book, because this right here reminds me exactly of that. So for me, I did so well with this, going through like my little whole process. I'm not talking about my recent process. I'm talking about in my life. I did so well with this, with like not acknowledging my emotions and just brushing them under the rug till it became my norm, right? It was my normal way of life. And my children used to always be like, you don't have any feelings or whatever. Like, I would go through stuff and they wouldn't see me, and that was just kind of like a wall that I built up. But like, therapy is what busted it all open for me. So when I started going to therapy, my therapist will talk about the problem that was at hand. When I'm a note taker, even Bible study, church. When I walk away, I'm going to write my notes and I'm going to reflect on that. And even as me being a Christian life coach, I have my mechanism that I use. Y'all, when I tell y'all that my after sessions with my therapist, I will always spend like an hour with myself. It started taking me back to memories that I had from childhood, and led me to see exactly who I am. Like how I became that way, and at times when I had put a shelter over the top of it and started like trying to be some type of way of hiding, I can reflect on all of those different things. I mean, not anything like majorly bad. Like, for example, when I was going through the understanding the sickness, it was because I had asthma as a little kid. Every time I went to the hospital, I thought I was going to die. And then the whole thing from death in the 3rd grade, y'all, I went back and was trying to figure out how was this death thing. I was playing on the playground in 3rd grade, Draper Elementary, Southeast DC. So all my 3rd grade friends, I need to reach back to them. We were playing basketball, and Frankie Robinson was playing basketball, our classmate. He passed out and he died. We didn't have no nurses, no trauma, no anything. Half of the year I got transferred because we moved. But when I went back to thinking, it's so many deaths that went on that I never grieved about. And that's why death was like so hard for me. And going through the process, I'm telling y'all, go find a therapist. If y'all don't have one, it'll bring out so many different things in acknowledging your emotions. I'm speeding y'all on, but yet I'm dwelling into this. I really love this article. Number 4, look at the big picture. So, Tammy, I'm going to go to you. So she writes, you might find, if you look at the big picture and what you want to accomplish, that the best thing you can do is move on. Any thoughts from you about that whole passage?
Yeah, I think that it was good. Looking at the big picture to me is like focusing on or honing in on the ultimate goal or the outcome. And by doing that, it can enable you to move on. Because what happens is when we are focusing on what's going, what the storm, and not trying to calm ourselves, that means we're spending time worrying about things that we can't control, or things that are underserving, or that are unfixable. So that doesn't bring a calm by any means. So I feel it to be true, like if you just focus on the big picture, which is the outcome, what your desired result, or what you're hoping for, let's not say desire, what you're hoping for, I think it will make the environment conducive of a calm.
Yep. And so we're going to stop at 6, right? We're going to stop at 6 because I got to say something to this one. So for me, I'm such a big big picture person, but sometimes it's to a fault. And I know that and I understand that. But the last 15 years of my job at work, this was my role and my responsibility. So even now, my team is talent operations and systems team. What we do, we conduct internal audits. What we do is we design systems. When people have issues, we fix it. We automate processes. We develop workflow. So that's how my mind goes. So anytime I'm looking at something, I see a mistake. If it's a writing, I can, like mine, I can't see it in mine, right? But I can see even if y'all have read this article, there were so many typos in this article, and those are the things that
I just saw one. I didn't want to say anything. I was like,
but the content. So, and here's a perfect example, right? And this is my lane that I'm in and that I'm learning. So although we all notice the errors in here, and there were several of them, it doesn't take away from the content, right? This article is like a powerful article. So that's the whole thing of life. Like, we are messed up. We make mistakes, but God don't throw us away, right? He uses us in that same way. But this here was big for me. So with me working on processes from implementation, from developing and making sure it's sure proof to implementation, from the concept to sustainment, that's how my life goes. So I'm trying to like pull back, because that's my work life, but I'm one person. Nobody, my kid, I know I drove my kids crazy. I know, like, some people that I deal with, I know and I understand. So I recognize that, and I'm trying to like adjust in certain areas, but I'm not saying I am who I am. I am who I am, but realizing certain things will help you to move differently. So yeah, so I find myself moving differently, and I'm proud of it. But like before, I was just like, I know she see that, and that was how my mode was trained or whatever it was. And some of it was when I was a little kid too. But I'm just saying. So number 5, Reverend Rice, this one is yours. Make smart lifestyle choices. No, we're gonna skip that one because that one was like easy. She was just saying like, drinking never finishes anything, and things always look better after a good night's sleep. When you're in the midst of your bad time, take care of yourself. Just saying, like, when you're going through stuff, drinking might put a Band-Aid on it, but it's not going to resolve your issues. Smoking or doing whatever, it might be mellow for a minute, but you're going to come back to it and have to face reality. So that's what that one is talking about. Just make healthy life decisions while you're going through this, because it's going to impact you anyway. And she's saying, take your vitamins, drink your water, eat your food groups, and get some sleep. You don't want to end up sick on top of everything else. So for this one for you, the last one is pray. How so timely, right? And she was just saying, like, not everyone who reads this is a praying person, but from her personal experience that she found great stress in knowing that. And so mine, and then you can close out with this. So for me, I pray and I meditate on an average of like 2 hours a day. And then I catch a sermon or two in between in the afternoons if I don't have any clients. But you, Version, they owe me a check, because I know I be talking about them all the time. But it has changed my entire life. From I wake up way early, 5 o'clock in the morning, so that I can meditate and do everything before I start working. I was never an early person before, but the scriptures, the store, everything that they have, it just almost seemed like it was purposely designed for me. And so I've always prayed a little bit, but this is the one thing that I want to add on to this. For the life of me, like even when we used to go into church and they would be like, meditate, I used to fall asleep in church when we had the little, I forgot what it's called, but we went in the chapel and it was like, meditate. I would fall asleep right there after a couple of minutes. And I always wondered how my mother prayed and meditated every day. Now I feel like I am so my mother's child. All I do is meditate. It's easy to do once you get into it. Like it's grown to be like an addiction of mine. So Reverend Rice would say you on this one as we close out in prayer as number 6.
Yeah, I think that everybody should have a praxis that allows for them to have the right focus.
Right.
And so whether that's, meditating on your scripture, and everybody has to find their own rhythm. So the two things that I would say about it is that, number one, scripture tells us to pray without ceasing.
Right.
And in order to do that, it really requires that we have relationship over religion.
Yeah.
So relationship trumps religion. So it's not about legalism, you know what I mean? It's not about, it's about having the kind of relationship that when you have intimacy with someone, you don't have to go through a whole lot you can communicate with them without talking.
Right.
Right? You can communicate with them with your eyes.
Right.
You can communicate with them through nature. You can pray to God in conversation. Like, it doesn't mean, okay, I've got to get my Bible. It's good to be disciplined. The Bible says Jesus, a great while before day, went into a solitary place and there he prayed.
Yes,
right.
yes.
So we already know it is a practice. But you are also praying as you walk through the women. We talked about that Saturday as they went to the tomb, right?
Mm-hmm,
they're walking and they're asking who. That to me is a prayer. Lord, who? Lord, you gonna do this? Lord, who's gonna roll the stone away? Right? That didn't keep them from heading towards the stone, right? And so for us, it means whether you're washing your dishes, whether you're in your car, whether you're in the boardroom, whether you're in your bedroom, no matter where you are, when you get to the place where you are praying without ceasing, then you are in constant conversation with God. Yeah. So it does not become a strange thing that you have done. It every day we have to get to a place where we know that the Lord is going to hear when we think of 2 Chronicles 7, when he says, if my people, right? He says, if I shut up heaven, that there be no rain. Yeah. If I send locusts to devour the land, if I send pestilence among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. He says this, then I'll hear.
Right.
I'm going to hear from heaven. And when I hear, I'm going to move. I'm going to heal the land. That's the promise of God. And amen. Stop thinking that you got to have all of these big, mammoth words and all of this kind of stuff. Talk to the Lord because he understands. He going to meet you wherever you are. Just accept the invitation to come boldly before the throne of grace and mercy.
Man, that is it. That is it.
The benediction.
Right. That is what that is. That is what that is. And you're gonna come back. We gotta get our date together for
okay.
For you to do Self is a Full-Time Job. And when we do that, we're gonna go and we're gonna pick up some of the other things. And I definitely have to close out. I don't know. I really, really love this conversation. We didn't get to the other points, but I know I have to close out. One thing that I have to say is it's so funny as you went through the last piece, and then the next one was going to be lean on other people. So of course I had my little Reverend Bryce passions to go along with that, but not only for the good things, but you are probably one of the, I don't want to say it this way, but I mean it this way, and I don't mean it negatively. You're one of the only persons that openly check me without really getting a little bit, anything coming back. And it's only it's because I truly trust you, and I don't think that you would tell me anything or say anything like hurtfully from that. And I remember I told you, I was like, yeah, you get a pass. You was like, I do, like you sincerely get a pass. So it's that type of respect that I have for you, and it's the balance of it. Like, although we're friends and we joke around and we do everything, you'll know, like when it's in church or when it's something related to that, I'm so serious. Like when we was on the call today and I was like, yes, Reverend Rice, I wanted to send you a text and like laugh. And then when you said a joke, I was so happy, like I could break down and laugh a little bit. But I take both of your hats, like seriously, as a friend as well as my executive pastor of my church. But thank you both so much. Quickly, because that last one was supposed to be quickly, but I respect you because I love every piece that you said. Tell everyone how they can connect with you. Tammy Ray.
I am Tammy Ray at N10CHNL. Again, that's Tammy Ray at at N10NCNL. That's intentional.
And thank you so much that you're on vacation and you still took the time out to come and grace the show. Very much appreciate. And thank you for your patience. This has been a long time in the works, all right? But no time like God's time. No time like God's time.
I want to be on the panel with Self as a full-time job. I love that.
We're going to have to do a second part. Like, it's the reason why that one is solo. We'll do a second part with you, though. It's the reason. It's her quote. It's her quote. It's her quote. All right.
Okay.
And Rabbi Rare, look, we're at the end of the show. So, Rabbi Rare, tell people how they can reach out and connect with you.
Colette Rice on IG and Facebook, and my website is seeing with a C, CING, hisworks.com.
Yes. So thank you all both so much. So thank you all for tuning in and listening to this show. Again, like some of the shows, you'll realize that they're personally for me. This one was personally for me. I've been trying to have this on, but it's also because so many people are going through so many different things. So I think this is a timely message. Y'all don't even understand. I'm sweating a little bit because the owner right there, we way over. Then the new person that I'm about to be introduced to is right here. So what type of first impression am I making? But nonetheless, right, when he knows when I'm in my zone and when I'm feeling something, so we connect, right? My producer knows, like, when I'm feeling something that we connect. So this topic right here, so sincere, so deep, and I really, really, really appreciate the comments from everybody. But, yeah, this one was for me. So follow us. Let's Do It Talk Show on all social media platforms. Let's Do It Talk Show. That's our IG, Facebook group, as well as our YouTube channel. May topics that are coming up. So the Money Making Monday ladies will be joining me twice in May. Normally they only do once a month. We're going to be talking about balling on a budget, the travel edition. So I'm going to be on location a couple times this month. But then we're going to come back. Reverend Rice, don't do that. Okay. Then we're going to come back. It's business travel. And then we're going to come back and we're going to have a special Mother's Day edition. So we're all going to pay tribute to what our mothers mean and meant to us. And next, we're closing out the month with the introduction of my next book project, The Climb. So I've been writing this book and working on it, but it's basically talking about my 30 years of climbing the ladder in the federal government. So I should have shared the cover page. I'll share it on the next show, but that's going to be the kickoff for it at the end of the month. And then in June, I'm actually going to be sharing, probably going to be a virtual, or I don't know, Denzel, this space is looking really nice. We might just have to do something. He gave me a thumbs up, so I think it's going to be something that we do in here in person. And then following that, we've been having book anthologies. So, you know, when we do that, depending on the number of people, they're back at the back at the back. So next coming up is Unshakable Faith with Minister Reverend Allison Daniel. This book is going to be amazing. It's already international because 4 internationally are co-authors in the book. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all next week. Great show, ladies.